In today's video, guys, I'm gonna be going over a step-by-step process on a 4-step header to make a very simple and unique style for a YouTube header. I'm actually made a header here for Jivan, so I'm gonna go ahead and break it down for you guys to give you a step-by-step process of what I was thinking during the header and how you guys can make them just like that. Alright, so the first step that I'm going to go over is I'm going to go with the background. So the background is very, very simple. So all I did is we're going to start off with a black background. Majority of the time, you're going to start off with a black background, unless it's a white header you're going for. It's overall just the theme of it. If you're going for a lighter header, use a white background, and if you use a darker header, it's probably more than likely going to be a black background. So what I went ahead and did is I ended up taking the black, and I wanted to go ahead and apply a texture over this. So this texture is a very simple texture. This is just a grunge texture. I actually found this texture in the Winter's Eye Pack. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but if you could look it up on YouTube, I'm pretty sure it's out there. You might cost you a couple bucks, I'm not sure. But if you actually go ahead and get that Winter's Eye graphics pack, you'll get this graphic. It's a really cool grunge effect. And pretty much all I did is I applied this over with a lower opacity. So I put this on the 27%. I put on a lighten. I feel like this gives it a really nice overall look. And then what I did with this is I actually ended up going with a nice little effect here with the text here. So what I did is I went in and I made the Jivan part really, really big because I want that to be the center focus piece of this header. What I want people to see whenever they go on someone's Twitter is I want to be able to see the exact name and make it very present to it's there. Because, you know, I see all these like really, really complex headers nowadays. And to be honest, simplicity is one of the best unique aspects that you can do to a header and to not make it more like complex as you need. So once I placed this text here, what I went ahead and did is I ended up taking the second part of his name, which is actually the first part of his name. This is actually the second. His name is Vibin Jivan. So I went ahead and took the Vibin and I just made a little unique effect here where I pretty much just took the actual Vibin and just put it into the eye because it acts like a box if you think about it. It's like a design aspect to where you can put two different names in the same kind of name in the same exact text, if it makes sense. So that's a really unique idea that you guys could do to your text and your headers as well. So if you have a 2-word name like Vibin Jivan, make sure to use those effects and really get unique to the aspect of the way you lay out your fonts. So after I did this, I knew that we needed some background lighting because it's going to be way too dark. So I went ahead and placed some lighting in here. The lighting looks really weird as well because I didn't do this in the exact same sequence as I did it prior. So I just went ahead and put these in 4 main groups, and this is probably the main group that I went with. That was the first folder that we dealt with. Went ahead and closed that folder. That's pretty much just getting the font and the background out of the way, which is the text, aka. So after that, I went ahead and made the character. Now the character was made in Blender. If you don't know how to do 3D models, I want to make a updated version of that very, very soon, so don't worry. But for now, if you want to learn how to do that, I'm gonna go ahead and leave a card in the top right. I think it's like right here-ish. So if you want to go ahead and click that and learn how to do it, I would greatly appreciate that. So what I went ahead and did is I went opened up Blender and I actually made this little character right here. So what this is pretty much just a ported model of a soccer skin, and I actually ended up just modeling it to a very simplistic pose. I don't like overdoing with the pose and everything. It just ends up making the banner too complex, and honestly, simplicity is one of the best aspects that you can use nowadays. So what I went ahead and did is focus the eyes toward me, but I ended up not liking that, and I actually wanted to go up with a glow effect. So pretty much what I did is I went ahead and cropped out her eyes and just filled it with a white shape. Now once I filled it with a white shape, you're gonna notice that it's gonna look something like this. This is what it looks like with a white shape. It's a blue shape for now for some reason, but I have no idea why, but just represent this as white. So what I went ahead and did is I actually added on some layer styles, and with these layer styles, all I simply did is I added an inner shadow to make it kind of like a bevel-y look, because an eye is supposed to be beveled and it's not really supposed to be a flat look. So I went ahead and did a little bit of an inner shadow here. I'm not sure if you can tell, but it's a very little inner shadow, not too much, but just to, like, you know, represent it that it's there. Once I did that, I went ahead and did a color overlay of a little like light shade of bluish, because we ended up going with like a neon turquoise type of deal. So once I did that, I ended up going with an outer glow here. Outer glow, I placed this on screen and I ended up putting it 100% opacity with a size of 29 pixels, and also putting the color as turquoise. It was a very, very simple effect, and nowadays a lot of people do these in these headers. It's a very, very unique effect, and this effect can literally put your headers to top tier in an instance. So once I went ahead and did this, I knew that this was lacking a lot of stuff. So what I went ahead and did is 2 main things, okay? One thing, we have a lot of negative space going on. So I automatically knew I was going to have to place social medias in here. So I went ahead and placed the social medias in here, and I will show you. Adding social medias in a header or a banner is one of the more things that are like, you know, kind of subjective to whether the person wants it or not. But sponsors and social medias can fill up a lot of negative space. So if you can put them in there, I would greatly influence you to do that. So once I went ahead and add the social medias, we were only missing one thing: smoke. And pretty much with these smokes, you can find a ton of different smokes, okay? Smokes are going to be a very, very reliable effect that you can use in literally literally almost every header you make. What I went ahead and did here is I grabbed some smokes from a GFX pack. I really don't remember which one it was, but I went ahead and found some. I put a color overlay of this turquoise kind of neon green effect here. Voila, we're done. The effect turned out really nice with this header. I really do like the way this header turned out. One last thing that you can do, okay, if you like your header the way it sits right now though, there's one last thing you can do to it to make it a tier above this one. So what I like doing with these headers from now on is I actually been experimenting with Lightroom a little bit. So after every header that I make, I tend to export it and upload it to Lightroom. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you and cut to Lightroom real quick and show you what you can do with these headers after you're done. All right guys, we are back in Lightroom, and so what I have here is I have the overall header. So what I'm gonna show you is a very simple effect that you can do to the header to make it top tier. So now what I did with this header, this is the original aspect. I'm gonna go ahead and show you the new way that I did it. This is the new way. What I pretty much am doing here is I'm taking all the textures out of the actual image. I'm increasing the exposure, the contrast, the shadows, the whites, the blacks, and sometimes decreasing them. So what I'm gonna go ahead and show you is simply, I up the exposure here, I actually increase the contrast, I increase the highlights, I decrease the shadows to make it a little bit darker on the outsides. I went ahead and decreased the whites as well and the blacks to make it also darker but a little bit lighter as well. Once I did this, I went ahead and go all the way down to the effects tab here, and where it says texture, I completely lower this. Now let me show you in a little effect. If you have the texture up, you'll be able to see the texture actually in like the smoke area here, and if you de-texturize the whole entire image, you're actually going to take this and kind of smoothen it out. I really like this effect, and it almost feels as if like it's a kind of a smoothing shade. And honestly, smoothing can make a header go crazy. Like this one right here, I actually ended up liking it with the texture lower. It's honestly kind of, you know, opinionated whether you like it texture lowered or keeping the texture, but I really like the way this header came out, guys. But yeah guys, that's pretty much it. If you like this header, make sure to leave a comment down below and maybe leave me some ideas on what you guys want to see in the future. Like I said, this is a very simple header and anybody can do it. So as long as you have the time of about an hour, maybe 30 minutes, you can make this header just like I did. If you want to support me further, down in the description, I will leave my Twitter and my Instagram. I'd greatly appreciate if you guys follow me on there. I also do stream on twitch.tv/dynamics if you guys want to come tune in there. I do a lot of tips on there while editing, and I actually play a little bit of Fortnite, so if you guys want to come and tune in, you'll learn something. I can guarantee it. Appreciate you guys for now. I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace out, guys.